Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kuda.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you are listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are for a little bit of reflection, I would call this podcast, because we did have a fairly significant tournament just finished, and one man who I have a big fan of this side of me won his 21st Grand Slam title, just in case nobody was aware of that yet. Well, we're going to be having a special guest on at some point in this show, but he's currently, I don't know what's happened. Apologies for being late as well, guys. Unfortunately, we were hoping that our special guest would be able to reconnect to the wife.
Yeah. Well, we've been catering to the special guest for some time, unfortunately, and he's taking his time. But John Silk will be in the building shortly. I know Ben introduced me as a big Rafa fan. I think he's a massive Rafa fan as well. He's not stopped talking about him, and rightfully so. He's won his 21st Grand Slam. And today, we're not going to be just talking about that. We're going to be talking about all of our favourite moments. And it's another PowerPoint special. I've created a pretty nice one. And we're going to be going through so many moments handpicked from John, Ben, and myself. So hopefully you enjoy. It was a good tournament. It would have been better if Djokovic was there, I must admit. But regardless, we had fun. And of course, couldn't have been any better with the end result. Nadal winning 21.
A very emotional end to the whole tournament, especially after all of the craziness around the whole Australian Open. It was a little bit of I don't know, it was just too much stuff going on in the build-up. There was too much overshadowing the tennis. I'm just so happy that by the end of the whole tournament, what everybody was talking about was the tennis. And I think that was the real win for tennis at the end of the day. I don't think it wasn't overshadowed in the end. We were a bit worried it would have been. It actually wasn't, because we had an amazing final. And obviously we shouldn't forget the women's. It was sort of a contrast to the men's. We had obviously Rafa winning from the big comeback from everything in his life. And then Ash Barty just cruised it. So
Easy.
it's complete different contrasting wins. So,
and I'm laughing because I don't feel like, Ben, we've really had an opportunity to celebrate yet.
Would you agree? I would agree with that. We haven't really had enough time to celebrate at all. I would totally agree with you, JG. Why haven't we been celebrating? I think we've been a little bit too, I don't know. We've been a little bit too busy because we've gone straight back into work. Like, it was even the next day. There was not even time from sleep or any of that type of stuff. We're straight back into the day jobs. We never really thought it'd be nice to actually, I don't know, have a little bit of celebration.
I think we just need a bit of a boogie to enjoy ourselves, a bit of music playing in the background, and just vibe. Because guess what? Rafa has won 21 Grand Slams.
Wow. He has indeed. About time that we did some sort of celebrating, I think, don't you, JG?
Go for it. Let's crank it up then a bit. Vamos! This would be me in the club of Australia right now.
Oh God, I'm getting pretty tired. If I'm perfectly honest, mate.
Let's go back to the podcasting. That's just a little intro. That's why we're late, because that's what we get up to backstage. And we've killed enough time as well, because guess who's joining us? We have no other than the man who runs the Silk Report. It's Jonathan Silk. How are we doing?
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, good day, good day, good day. Australia is the theme of the day, no, or theme of the month at least. How's it going? But did you orchestrate that before? It was all set up, and have you just gone with that?
I don't know if
you're
it's
very laggy, John, but no, we didn't orchestrate it. It was very random, to be fair.
I was going to say, I don't know if it was John Silk or Stephen Hawking joining us for a second there. It was so robotic sounding. Good to have you in, mate. It sounds like it's going to sort itself out eventually, the internet anyway. But yeah, okay. We were having a little bit of a boogie whilst we were waiting for you, and we thought we'd continue it on into the actual podcast proper. So
did I miss anything?
What are you guys
Did I miss
doing?
anything?
Yeah, we lost
Meg's Country, great to have you in. We've had you in pretty much Oh, hello.
Dog's getting excited now, mate. Oh, the Huskies are JG's Huskies. Obviously, like a good dance as well. They're big Rafa fans as well. I think they've all got Rafa themed winter outfits as well that they all run around in on the sleigh, taking him around the manor. So quite interesting.
What's going on? JG's got a tent, it looks like.
Yeah, JG's in a tent by the looks of it, and he lent off.
I've had to move location. That's why it's very laggy and not the most ideal, with a lot of noises and dogs and everything. But it's a temporary fix until the mouse has gone from the cabin. When the mouse goes, I can go back out there. I'm not a big fan of mice. But yeah, let's get started with this one. Enough about me. And I've prepared a little PowerPoint, which we're going to be going through. And these moments, like I said, we've all had a little take on what we think. John picked a lot of them, to be fair. Ben had a few he liked, and I did too. So let's go through. This is the Game to Love Australian Open 2022 review. We've picked, we wasn't sure what number to choose, so we went with 21. It's quite a memorable one this year in Australia. So we've got 21 hand-selected moments, starting with numero uno, the return of Gael Monfils, with a quote from him saying, "I just won one slam."
Yeah, what an incredible tournament. Obviously, a lot of people are going to say he was aided, which he was, but Djokovic not being in the tournament. But it can't take away from how well he did play. Obviously, didn't drop a set all the way up until the quarterfinals, where he did play Matteo Berrettini and lost in 5, which was a great effort. And I think we could have at least a consistent year now from Gael Monfils on tour again. And I think it's very heartfelt, all of his stuff. He's one of those players as well on tour that sort of gets to me a little bit in my heart when I watch him on court, because he sort of wears his heart on his sleeve, that guy. And you see how much he loves just performing and just giving the whole dramatics for the crowd and stuff. I don't know what he's going to be like when he leaves tennis. I hope he goes into some sort of other performance arts or something like that. Because I think the crowd loves him. I think that he should always.
He's entertaining. He's not just a good tennis player. He has the whole package. How brilliant would it be if he was to grab one slam? I think it would be something what brings tennis together, because everyone would celebrate it. There wouldn't be sort of Rafa fans, Djokovic fans, or Federer fans. Everyone would want Gael Monfils to win, no doubts about it. And I think he said this after being asked about how great it is to get to the landmark of 20 Grand Slams. All he was saying is he just wants one.
I don't know, just one. Solitary one. What do you have to say about Monfils? You know this guy, John, very well.
Yeah, I would just add a bit more to that. It sort of reminds me of Ivanisevic as well, and everyone was sort of willing even to get his slam, like, and he also achieved that.
Yeah, John, unfortunately, it's not working. We can't hear you. The internet is too poor right now.
Yeah, it is, man.
I don't know if you want to restart it maybe and just try and fix
come
it
back
for a
again.
moment. Just come back when you can, because we can't hear you. It's just all robotic. Not good at all. But just have a little play around, John, and when you're ready, just ping us a message in the private chat and we'll get you back in.
Reset that router. Anyway, so Gael Monfils. I've said it already. I've just been so happy to see him back. Obviously, during that COVID time, he had that after one of the best runs in his career. I think what was it, a 20-match winning streak that he went on before he lost to Djokovic, I think, in one tournament before COVID finally wiped everyone off the courts. And then he just went on that terrible, terrible run. And I felt so bad for him, because I know that he's definitely a top 20 player at all times normally. Yeah. And to go through what he did, how many losses in a row? I'm just going to have a look back. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 losses in a row.
It was a bad run. It really was. But then I feel like COVID didn't help him as well. Yeah, there was a few issues he was having with Svitolina at the time. They've since been happily married. So it seems like everything's back on track for him, and he's playing his good tennis. I think he's playing right now as well. Well, not right at this moment, but he's playing in an event which you picked him to win. Yeah,
Montpellier, yeah. I think he's got a lot of confidence. We know how well he did. I'm sort of going back to that 2020 form, because I know that it was actually that he won Montpellier that year. And that's why I think if he's played that well at the Australian Open, why not? Yeah. If he's back in his home country as well, I think he plays great when he's playing in France as well. The crowd really get behind him. I fancy his chances, even though Zverev's in there. Obviously, we'll get to Zverev probably later in this, but we weren't really impressed by Sasha Zverev at the Australian Open.
Yeah, well, let's move on. So number 2, we've got Elise Cornet's first quarterfinal at a slam in the 63rd attempt. I mean, what a brilliant story this is. I know we was talking prior to her match against Danielle Collins, which she ended up losing, and both of us were like hoping that she could do something special and win that one. A lot of it was sort of just going with along the fairy tale. I don't think she's nowhere near as good as some of the other competitors on the women's game, but she beat Halep, and Halep's no easy player to beat.
And
it's just amazing. Yeah, and Muguruza as well. It's just amazing when you look down her record of all of the slams she's played. Such an experienced tennis player. I think 32, if I remember correctly, just off memory. Yeah, and she's just been around for a while and not been able to ever really take that next step. But she did it here. And yeah, I don't think she's really going to be that disappointed that she lost to Danielle Collins in the end, because she had a great tournament. And someone now, when we're going to be looking at brackets, I'm always going to have one eye on Elise Cornet, because she's shown me what she's capable now when she's performing well.
I hope so as well. Especially, I feel a little bit bad for... I didn't realise the extent until you get like these people who come out with those stats in these big tournaments. I always thought Cornet was a decent player. I didn't realise she'd struggled over 63.
Well, I mean, she is a decent player. To consistently be in a Grand Slam, you've got to be good. And she never really misses one. She's always at the slams because she's good enough. But she's just one of them players that doesn't have the ability to get to that next level and push into a second week. Yeah. She was able to here.
Yeah, and I'm happy that she was able to do it beating good opposition as well. Not just going, oh, yeah, well, they had an easy route.
Yeah, so it wasn't just an easy route where she just walked it. No, certainly not.
Because some people were saying Halep could be a potential winner that no one was talking about, and she managed to knock her out. So
yeah, number 3 on the screen, Manarino versus Nadal tiebreak.
The classic. Oh, mate, this one, I don't know. I was super shocked when we were covering. I was covering that one with Zach, wasn't I? And I just thought, what the earth was going on in that tiebreak? That was the one thing we said, that Manarino, after that match with Karatsev, which was 4 hours and 40 minutes with Karatsev on court, the last thing he needed was going to a tiebreak that was 25 or 26 minutes long. So the first set was, I think, over an hour and a half against Nadal.
So I've got the stats here. So it was 28 minutes and 40 seconds. So after saving 4 set points and missing with the first 6 of his own, Nadal finally clinched the tiebreaker that lasted 28 minutes and 40 seconds to set himself on course to secure a spot in the Australian Open quarterfinals for a 14th time. That was the headline at the time. You can watch the tiebreak in full on YouTube, I believe, but I think they did take it down for a bit. I've been trying to watch bits of it. It's just incredible. Some of the shots, I thought my favourite one was where Nadal was down set point and he sort of volleyed it. Manarino didn't help him with some of the shots. I thought he was a bit passive at times. But
He is,
some of
does
the
that.
other times it was amazing. Like it's just when he had the pressure of having a set point, he played very passive. But when he was down in the tie break and he felt like I'm down here. I've not got not much pressure on me. I've kind of already lost it. That's when we saw the best Manarino. He seemed to struggle when he was in front.
Definitely.
It's psychological. You've got to remember, tennis is mostly mental, and a tie break, I always have said, is the best indication of where your mental game's at.
Definitely.
Because really, it can be a bit of a 50-50 shootout.
I think so. I think you're right. And this one really proved it. We obviously had 4 set points for Manarino, 7 for Rafael Nadal in that tiebreak. And it was just back and forth. And it was just the contrast in techniques as well, because both lefties, but Manarino, and Zach kept on saying it during the stream. He's like the Manarino slap. It's just like it's not like a proper top spin or anything. He just slaps the ball back, and sometimes it's so effective, but other times it just looks so unorthodox. Like there's Rafa with his massive top spin, then you just got him like slap, just a flat slap, slaps it back into the court. So it was a really exciting first set and like end to that first set, but that was it. I think maybe it was Rafa's tactic. Wear this guy out. He's been on court for so long. I'll keep you on court for the first set for another hour and a half or however long it was in the end.
We've got Tennis Brothers in the chat saying this tiebreak was unreal.
Yeah, it really was.
Mind blown. Alex saying the women's final was shorter than that tiebreak. Obviously it wasn't, but it's close.
Close enough. One of the sets probably was.
Yeah.
So
I really enjoyed that. It was a great moment. Of course, I'm a bit disappointed I didn't get to see it live, but you did a good job.
Yeah, man,
so number 4, we've got what is wrong with Sasha Zverev?
Well, the big question, the big thing that's wrong with him, and I know that Gene pointed it out in the live chat. It said it's 0-11 against top 10 opposition now at Grand Slams. I think that is a very worrying statistic to be taking in to your next Grand Slam. I don't know what's going on with him. Is it like a mental block or something against top 10 players? I don't know. What's happening?
Man. I feel like with Zverev, he's someone who talks a good game, and he's always talking to the media about becoming world number 1. He knew that if he was able to do well here, it was well within his realms of possibility to become world number 1 with some events following. And he said recently in the event he's playing on right now, I think is it Montpellier?
Yeah.
He said there that the pressure of him knowing that he could get world number 1 was too much for him, and that's the reason he lost. I'm not sure if I fully buy that. I think ultimately he just struggles in the best of 5 scenario. He's not good enough against the top players. He always loses. Not being a top 10 player. He's had quite a few attempts at it as well. So something needs to change. We know his game's there. And the most frustrating thing is I fancy him to beat these guys in sort of a best of 3. He beats Djokovic at the Olympics.
I know. I'm not sure what it is with best of 5. Obviously, one of the main ones was that Grand Slam final against Dominic Thiem. 2 sets to love up and sort of
literally
bottled
a set
it
away.
Yeah, if not a few points.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with him because he's so good in that tour finals as well. He wiped the floor with everybody. Obviously, I think he lost his first match to Medvedev, but then got one back over on him in the final. But did it with ease. It seemed he worked him out.
Yeah.
Didn't even get to see the matchup this time. Chapeau.
Yeah, we got Min Chai here saying, Zverev was the biggest upset at the Australian Open for me. I agree. He is the real big standout upset disappointment of this Australian Open. That's why we're getting the disappointments over with early. It's number 4. Be done with it.
I'm sort of happy.
He certainly was disappointing. Like, there's no reason he shouldn't really be pushing on. And you'd have to think if Djokovic was to have played, there's no way he would have bowed against, say, like a Chapo or something like Zverev did.
That's the thing. And I know that when I was sort of I don't know if it was you that was pushing me to ask, will Zverev win a slam in 2022? And there's just part of me that just, even though I've been bigging Zverev up, I still said no. I don't know why. That was just a gut thing that I just came out with at the time. But I didn't even know the statistics that he hadn't beaten people. But there is that underlying feeling that you just think, when's it going to suddenly turn for him? It doesn't seem, every time you think it will, he just gives you a reason to doubt him again. And that's why I had Medvedev being my champion of 2 slams in 2022, because I think he's just that much more consistent. If not for Rafael Nadal, Medvedev would have his 2nd Grand Slam right now.
Yeah, let's move on. Number 5. So number 5, I think we're just in time because John's here and he seems to be moving around perfectly. How are we doing?
Yeah, good. Sorry about that. Some technical issues. Anyway, seems to be okay. Gal Monfils. Oh, I see we've missed. Yeah. No, I think you guys, I'm sure, delivered well on him and all the rest. Do you want me to dive right in for number 5?
Yeah, you can dive in.
Yeah, sure. By the way, I'm probably going to get the pronunciations wrong. So, Ben, please help me out for sure. We've got Angela Okutoyi, I think, something like this.
Yeah.
And obviously, we've got Al Zahra Safi winning the first tennis matches, if you like, at any kind of ATP, WTA level, whether that be juniors or professional. And I don't know. I suggest this to JG the other day when we were talking about, what moments should we choose from this Australian Open. And I think, groundbreaking as this suggests. Why do I think this is significant? Well, I think it's amazing, obviously, for the respective countries, whether it be Kenya or whether it be Iran. But I want to see tennis open to every single country on the planet and to every single race and creed and type. And I want it to be as open as it possibly can. And I think one of the things I love about football is that it doesn't matter where you are, where you come from, or even what your background is in terms of a financial scenario. You can play it and you can do it. Unfortunately, for one reason or another, tennis has always been one of these kind of middle stroke upper class sports. And the more it can appeal, and we need heroes, we need, whether it be Arthur Ashe making ground in terms of black men, for example, or other examples, or Ons Jabeur, who's obviously groundbreaking in terms of North African women, of course. The more we have of this, the more appealing it becomes, and the more widespread it becomes, the better, and the better quality, and the better everything.
I think that's a key point you said there, quality, because not necessarily, you need to remember, just because there isn't players from some of these countries doesn't mean there's not good talent out there. We've seen it with football. Some of the best talents across the globe are from Asia, Africa, all over the world. And I feel the problem with tennis, it's been a very closed book for many years.
Absolutely.
It is a bit of an elitist sport. It's not easily and readily available to be able to play. You need to be in a financial position. You need to have access to the court. You need to have access to a car to travel around.
Yeah.
Or even fly around them if you want to get to another level.
Yeah.
And that's why this is a great story. And I'm glad you shared it with us, John, because I'm really, really pleased to see players sort of, we've got here from Iran and Kenya winning tennis matches. Hopefully this can be the first of many more.
And we need heroes as well to some extent. I know it's but these people, we see it in every sphere, whether it be politics or sport or other areas of life. We need people to look up to, and you go, you know what? Probably not many people in Iran right now are picking up a tennis racket, or Kenya as well. But if you just, we've seen all the commercials from Rafael Nadal where he talks about just picking up a tennis racket was the biggest move of my life. And the more people that do that, the better. And I know, unfortunately, with tennis, of course, you need a net and you need a racket and you need equipment. I get that. And so there is always going to be that mini financial element. But to be honest with you, you also need people to inspire us. And the more people from the more parts of the world that do so, the better.
Yeah, no, I agree completely.
Totally agree.
Well said, John. Let's move on to the next one. So number 6, we've got Berrettini found his backhand.
I like that one. Yeah, he did, didn't he? Suddenly came
to some extent, Ben.
Yeah, not completely.
Carried away with it.
But for a set, it was looking pretty good. Like, I think everyone would agree in that match where he did lose, but there was some signs of life in that third set against Rafa, where suddenly he started just going for it, and you're thinking, oh, you do actually have it there if you really want to use it. And it was just nice to see him not just playing the push game or the slice game or it being a target, because as soon as that became an offensive weapon, suddenly the opponent doesn't know which side to hit. And then you can actually have weapons off both sides. And you saw how easily he won that third set. And then even in the fourth, it gave him the confidence. He didn't even drop a point on serve for about 4 games straight. Like that type of thing. I see it's all a mental side of him. I think he knows when he plays the big players, oh no, I'm going to be under the cosh here. They're all going to go to the backhand side. Even though I've been practicing it religiously, it's just still not quite there, not quite good enough on the big stage with his mindset. But it was nice.
We've got Meg asking here, when did he find his backhand? No.
No. Well, for a set and a half, he did. So it was a very good backhand.
There's still a really long way to go for
miles.
for me. It's not quite there at all. I know what you mean, and I've seen loads of people tweeting about it as well. And usually when I see a general consensus and a lot of people saying the same thing, I always take note. And a lot of people were saying that Berrettini's backhand's improved. Me personally, did I see a lot of it? Not really. But I'm listening to. I'm happy to. I'm all open ears basically for you guys who have been bigging it up.
I just thought it was nice to see. Like a few winners off the Berrettini backhand can only spell good things going forward. Obviously, it's still going to be a target because the forehand is an absolute weapon. But the more he can...
Where's John gone?
I don't know. He just decided, he obviously just dislikes Berrettini that much. Just decided just to leave. Wasn't happy with this at all. But
God,
maybe
tonight. It's been a bit of a messy one, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe he knows what's coming up next, and that's why he had to leave, because he's so appalled with the next slide.
Yeah, which is nice little segue, Ben. Ben's dark horse, Timothy Skatov. Rolling back now, it seems like months ago, but it probably was only weeks ago when we did our qualifiers to watch video. Something we do before every single Grand Slam. We both pick 3 qualifiers to watch for the event. We can pick the same ones if you want. Ben does it on his own. I do it on my own. We come together. We both share our ones. We make a little PowerPoint and share it to you guys. Ben came with me in confidence as a man-to-man, heart-to-heart. He said, I would like Timothy Skatov as my number 1 men's player to watch, as my dark horse for the event. I am going to pick
Wasn't my
Timothy
dark horse for the
Skatov.
event. It's all right. Steady on. You're trying to add in a few extra
and I said to Ben, I was like, pardon? Who's that? Sorry. I don't know much about him. I don't know much about him. Obviously, I usually do know a few of Ben's picks.
Legend.
I tried looking through some of his results. Bageled against Kruger in the lead up. A few other dodgy ones. So now we've got Ben here live on the podcast. He can maybe explain a little bit about Timothy Skatov, the guy who went out. Was it the first round?
And
first round of
Norbert Gombos in real tough, a very tough veteran of the sport, Norbert Gombos. And he nearly took him to 5 sets as well. He was up a break in the 4th after being 2 sets to love down. He harnessed his inner Rafael Nadal, you could say, in the 3rd set by winning it 6-1. And then he came back. He was up a break in that 4th. But unfortunately, the moment he was already thinking about the 2nd round and it got to him. I just want to say we actually missed something quite significant, which was a week ago. It was actually during the tournament. It was Skatov's birthday, so we should say happy birthday to Timothy Skatov, 21 years old now and 236 in the rankings after that first Grand Slam appearance at the age of 20. So
yeah, it was a very short-lived appearance as well. I know Kathy's asking how far he went. He did go out in the first round. One of my qualifiers to watch, Norbert Gombos beat Ben's one. So yeah, there's still the story of Skatov is only just starting. We're going to be following him now like a hawk, and in a good way. I'm glad you brought him to our attention because it's another narrative to push on Game to Love.
You should see this guy. I mean, he managed to get to the US Open junior semi-finalist at the US Open. So I mean, he's good on the hard courts. And now he's made it into his first Grand Slam main draw. Definitely going to be one to watch from Kazakhstan as well.
Let's move on. But just before we do, one comment I want to just leave us with. Who the F is Skatov? Yeah, I agree.
Look in the thumbnail. Look in the thumbnail. He's snuck in the thumbnail. If you can spot him, I've tried to include him in there. If you can spot Skatov.
So number 8, we've got Sabalenka double faults. We was both talking about this sort of pre-Australian Open. Neither of us put Sabalenka going very far. I think you had her going out maybe a round before I did.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is we just thought with all these double faults, there's no way she could possibly win the Australian Open. There's no way she can get to a second week. In a way, we kind of was proved to be right.
Yeah.
But she did get a little bit further than we both anticipated. And the double faults were coming down. However, I have some really damning stats for her. And now, let me see if I can find them. For this year, she has 95 double faults in 2022. But
Oh wow.
the question for you, Ben, that's not the most. There is one person on tour with more double faults than Sabalenka in 2022.
More.
And I want to pose the question to you. Who has hit more double faults than Sabalenka this year?
There's someone who's done more than 95 double faults.
Yes. And I know it's the 2nd of February.
Not Skatov.
It's not Skatov.
No.
There's been 33 days or so, early 22, and there's actually someone with more double faults on tour than
Can you
Sabalenka.
tell me, is it women's or men's? And then I'll
It's
try.
men's.
Oh wow, it's men's. Oh no, I was going to say who are normal suspects on the men's side. I don't even think I'm going to be able. I don't even think it's going to be anyone that well known for some reason. I don't know why. I don't think it's going to be.
I'll put the question to John. John, who's hit more double faults than Sabalenka this year?
Oh, there's somebody on the tour somewhere, male or female, who's hit more double faults than Sabalenka this year already. That's what you're saying?
Yep, in 2022.
A man.
A man has done it in the top 100, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. A man. Okay, Shapovalov. No.
We've got the correct answer in the live chat. It's only fair to share it. Daria G's right. It's Krezi.
Oh wow!
So Krezi has hit 101 double faults in 2022. He's broke the 100 mark. He's hit a century, and that is pretty crazy.
How has he done that? Yeah, he's playing better than her, though.
He must have played 200 matches already.
I mean, Krezi has played a lot of matches. You've got to remember before he played in Adelaide with was it Adelaide or Melbourne? With Rafa.
He played Melbourne with Rafa, but he probably played another tournament as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the Sabalenka double
five sets, I guess, can make a difference. Or 3 sets, 5 sets, but it's still nuts.
We got robotic John. Still,
the internet is still not too great, John.
Sounding pretty bad, man.
Not sure what to do. Just hopefully you can try and fix it. I don't know. Otherwise, we're going to have to go on without you, I think.
Yeah. No worries. Anyway, continue. Well, how much more do you want to say on Sabalenka's
I don't want to rip into it. I just want to say that at the end of the day, I'm glad we didn't pick her to go too far. Let's end on a positive with Sabalenka. It wasn't too bad towards the end.
No.
Who did she go out to again?
Kanepi.
She went out to Kanepi, but the match before that, she only hit 10 double faults.
I thought it was 5.
Was it 5? And then it was 10 against Kanepi.
No, I think you're right. No, it was 10. It was 10.
I don't know why you're questioning me, Ben. It was 10
15 against Kanepi.
And it was 15, so it started going up again. It sort of dropped, and then it started to rise, unfortunately.
So maybe it's going back the other way again now.
Yeah, it's worrying. Number 9, Tsitsipas coaching again.
Marvelous. What a lovely topic to talk about. Obviously, we spoke about this one, and Apostolos doing it again from the stands, obviously with a mask on, hoping not to be caught because he's wearing the mask, but very, very clearly heard by Medvedev, and they sent somebody over, the lady John pointed out, that had to stand hiding behind one of the what was it? It was just like underneath where Apostolos was sitting. She was sort of hiding in a little hidey hole, and then hearing what was going on, and did actually give him a warning after hearing some coaching.
Are you with us, John?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, it's not good. Maybe come out and try again. I don't know what else to suggest. But yeah, so Tsitsipas coaching again. You summed it up nicely. I liked what John did actually on the Silk report with this. It was quite interesting because I didn't notice it in real time. But of course, some eagle-eyed people on Twitter were able to spot it. The maddest thing for me is Tsitsipas didn't understand how he was getting called.
It was
So
good,
he's
wasn't it?
looking around and he's like, how are they knowing that? How can they hear Apostolos? Like, how do they know?
Looking
And
up.
he's looking around thinking, who's snitching on me here? But it was someone hiding underneath the shadows. But on the actual the debate of on-court coaching, we've done a podcast on this, which I thought we covered it quite well. And we both had, I think it was slightly different stances. I know you're more of an advocate for on-court coaching. I'm someone who likes players to be left to their own devices. I like for there to be a problem and for them to solve it. I think it's an individual sport. And that is the beauty for me, to be able to sit in the chair in a changeover and mentally look at yourself and think, you know what? It's not going my way today, but I think I need to tweak this, do this, change this. And that is the beauty of the sport for me. I don't like it whether you've got sort of a coach saying this and everything. And I feel like it would slow the game down a little bit.
Probably would slow it down for sure. Like, especially if they
I
would
don't
time
want
out.
the game to be, we
Time
don't want
out.
it to be like that. We don't want it to be like American football or anything of the nature.
No,
I like
no.
the way tennis is at the moment. And my focus would be no on-court coaching. That's what the rules are anyway. So Tsitsipas's dad, I feel like something drastic is going to have to happen here.
Put a mic on
Whether they
him.
need to part company completely. But I think Tsitsipas at this stage has to say something, because there's no smoke without fire. I know we can't physically hear it, but I don't doubt there
Put
is
a
some
mic.
kind of coaching going, isn't it? There's
I
got to
say
be.
put a mic near the boxes then. That's the only solution. They have it sort of when I watch some of the like UFC and stuff like that, they actually have mics that they're allowed to coach, obviously, because it's a fight. So they're shouting stuff to their fighters, and then they sometimes cut to that corner and they're like, then they raise the level of their mic and they can hear them saying, do this, do that, do. Like, if they would just have a mic in, like, let's say Medvedev's next to their box and next to Tsitsipas' box, all they have to do is just have somebody listening to it at all times. If he shouts out, play to his backhand more, or something, come on, something like that out, then you'll go, right, tell the umpire straight away, red tick. There you go. One warning, point deduction, or all that. I think that type of thing. We've got the technology to do that, just to whack a microphone next to him. Why not?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Let's move on to the next one. So number 10, almost halfway there.
Yeah.
And this one, we've got Ash Barty. It'd be rude not to put her in. The greatest tennis player right now on the women's game.
Yep.
The question I've got here is, who can stop her? We saw last year she won Wimbledon. She had a few injuries as well. It wasn't the best on the clay, but it's come back this year in outstanding fashion. We've spoke about the pressure of her playing down under in Australia and how she could buckle under the nerves. Is she going to be ready? She looked slightly shaky in their first match back in Australia against Coco Gauff. Bounced back, played in the Australian Open. No one could touch her. Absolutely blitzed the field. One of the most dominant performances I've seen on the women's tour since Raducanu.
Yeah,
because
literally.
it was sort of Raducanu-esque, where you're just knocking people off the court in about an hour. I think it was more convincing, if anything, with Ashley Barty. A bit like Iga at Roland Garros, another one who I don't think she dropped a set either. And the question here, who can stop her? I'm talking about this whole year, because I know we were saying yesterday, Djokovic to do the calendar slam. Could Ash Barty do it? We know she can play on all the surfaces. The only slam she's not won now is the US Open.
It's pretty mad, and she's going to be probably all guns blazing for that tournament. I was just having a look back at some of her form as well, and it is ridiculous. And this is no joke. Obviously, in 2021, she won 42 matches and only lost 7. So she won 7 on grass, lost none. 14 on clay, only lost 4, and 21 on hard court, only lost 3 in the whole year on hard court. And that was obviously the US Open.
Yeah.
She went on that massive run. I just was looking back through her things. She lost to Kvitova in Doha and Kenin in the Australian Open. That was it. So she lost at 2 Grand Slams and then just 1 in Doha. And then that was her year really on hard court. Amazing end to the she after the US Open, put that into perspective. The last time Ash Barty played was the US Open, and then she came to Australia and started playing. That was September. And then she starts the year and she hasn't lost.
Mate, it's just levels to it, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
I think her clay court form, she may struggle. I know she's won Roland Garros, so maybe you can say, oh, well, she won that. She must be pretty good. I don't think she's a world beater on clay, and there's going to be players who beat her. I think Sabalenka even beat her last year on clay, or it was certainly a close free set. I remember we covered it on the podcast.
They did 3, didn't they?
And Sabalenka's so yeah, I think she can be beatable. But right now, brilliant start. Amazing 2022.
It was the way that it's like the fashion that she did it, just to touch on it just one last time. All of the sets that she won, she went to one tie break, and it was just the one she came back from 5-1 down to win in tie break. All the others, 6, it was to love, to 1, to 1, to 1, to 2, to 3, to 3, to 4, to 2, to 0, to 3, to 1, to 3, and then finally a tie break. Ridiculous.
Yeah, next up we've got Kai Kanepi.
Kai Kanepi, well, this is one.
I think the best place to start with this is the fact that she was in the Leylah Fernandez part of the draw. Her first match, Angelique Kerber, who was talking about it on the intro when we were doing the draw previews. They've played each other 4 times before. This was the 5th meeting. It was 2-2. Yeah. I think most people there had Kerber beating Kanepi. Kanepi stormed her, blitzed her. And then from that moment on, Leylah Fernandez went out. That part of the draw really started to open up until she got to a Sabalenka. But you're looking at a Sabalenka who's not really sort of a world number 2 style player right now, is she?
No. I mean, it was the perfect time to play her, if I'm perfectly honest. It was a real tough match still. And it was just like she was suffering from nerves, Kanepi, but Sabalenka was sort of throwing it away at the same time. It could have gone either way. I wouldn't have been mad if Sabalenka had won it, but it would have only been due to the nerves of Kanepi. So Kanepi, though, even in that match versus Swiatek, I thought it was amazing. Just thought she really gave a great account of herself. Obviously, she's 36 years old. That should be noted. And to go and challenge one of the toughest young competitors on the tour in the way she did, I thought admirable to Kai Kanepi.
Are you giving away your age there, Ben? Do you have something to do with 36 yourself, maybe?
No, I wouldn't be anywhere near that. God, years in the future. Years.
No, I echo what you're saying. We always talk about Kai Kanepi as a bracket killer. She's a Grand Slam. Someone called her, I think, is it the Grand Slam Slayer? Or something, because she has the ability the giant killer. That's it.
Yeah.
And I fully echo that. I think she's great, and I'm really pleased for her. It'd be rude not to give her own slide because she had a great event, and someone we do talk about often on Game to Love. Anything you wanted to add, John, before we move on?
No, I just think she's kind of the opposite of Zverev in that Zverev always sort of disappoints and she overachieves.
Cool. Perfect internet as well. So moving on to number 12. And this is something John spoke about a lot on his Silk Report as well. I can remember seeing there was a few screenshots, and I did watch it back as well on repeat, not live. And this was Iga's epic match point. The question I'm asking, can she win a slam on hard? We know she's brilliant on clay, arguably the best player right now on the clay courts. Can she win a hard court title?
Me? Shall I go?
Yeah,
if the internet's good, then great.
It's good. We'll get the most out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And feel free to cut me off. Question regarding hard court. Yes, she can. I think this was the tournament, if you like. There's a semi-breakthrough for her on hard or non-clay, I think. So yeah, that's I think this is a big. I mean, she's only 21. How old is she?
20.
So she's got 10 or 15 years to go. And if she's anything like Federer, then 20 years to go. I loved how she stayed on for the final of the men's, by the way. Yeah. But no, absolutely. And by the way, the match point, it was just insane. She kept getting it back and back and back and over again. And I called it point of the tournament. I know some people sort of said, well, you're maybe getting carried away there. But I just think the point of the match and the point of the tournament as well, it was just insane how she kept defending so well.
Well, I've actually got a point of the tournament at the end, John. So just remind me to bring that up when we're talking about 21, because we may have a special man on number 21.
I wonder who that could be. I wonder who. Oh, is it Skatov?
Djokovic.
Oh, you missed Gatov, John.
Oh,
wasn't
I
in
missed
that.
him. I know. I was
Okay, no
disappointed.
worries.
Did you spot him in the thumbnail? That's all I want.
I saw him in the
Oh, okay, I tried to sneak him in there. Something good for Iga though, which obviously we're looking forward to the next Grand Slam tournament. That's sort of her bread and butter is the clay courts. Roland Garros.
She's favourite, by the way, for Roland Garros.
She's favourite, and
She
her
should be.
her birthday, her 21st birthday, is during Roland Garros, which is fantastic.
wow.
So 21 on the
Rafa's
31st.
Rafa's two.
That's it. So big things like Rafa and Iga, both not turning 21, but there's one with 21 slams, the other one turning 21.
That's great because Rafa's going for 22 in 2022. Djokovic went for 21 in 2021. Didn't go to plan. Hopefully, Rafa has more success. On to 13. Unlucky for some. Naomi Osaka dropping in the rankings. I saw someone put her actual ranking in the live chat.
85th.
Somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
85th she's dropped to. How mad is that? That Naomi Osaka, she's now level with Jinyu Wang down in she's 86th and 85th. They've got the same points. So they popped Naomi Osaka into 85th just to give her a little bit of a leg up. I don't know. I don't know. She's not far. Heather Watson's in 87th. So maybe she'll overtake her soon.
I mean, it's got to be a matter of time, surely. Naomi Osaka, if she plays more events this year, she'll be up there.
Well, how about this one as well? Because Sophia Kenin is down in 95th right now. So that might give you an idea of what's going on. There's a battle going on close to the hundreds right now.
Yeah, you got Kaz in the chat. Can't quite believe it. I mean, she's not 80. It's not going to last for long, surely.
No.
I don't know what the points differential. Maybe there's a load bunched up beside.
It definitely is. I've seen a few tweets about this on the women's tour. It doesn't take much to get sort of from 80 to 20.
Yeah,
It's a very bunched field.
I'm not surprised because really a year ago, in fact less than a year ago, because the Australian Open was late last year. So we're talking about 11 months ago. She just won the Aussie Open, and she was sort of the de facto world number one at the time, if you remember. Ash Barty had missed tournaments and hadn't done well in Australia, and we were all sort of thinking she's really the world number one, but because of COVID, certain things were a bit strange. But then now, a year later, less than a year later, she's world number 85. I think it'll change very quickly. The one that stands out in women's tennis right now is Ash Barty. Then there's the rest.
Yeah.
You could, let's put it into perspective. If she was to win a 500 event, she'd move into the top 40 straight away. So that's and then if she was to win another one, or if let's just say she was to win a Masters, she would move pretty much close to the top 30.
But
I thought it'd be more like top 20, top 10.
But Ben and JG, but if she doesn't start moving up soon, we've got Clay coming. So
I know this is is she going to even play it, or is she going to take some time off again in the clay court?
Does it really matter? I mean, obviously you want to be higher up, but does it really matter where you're seeded when it comes to the slams right now? Does it?
Really.
I mean, look at
Raducanu.
Not in the women's. I mean, men's, yes, but women's, does it? I mean, you don't want to be playing Ash Barty first round or Halep second round or whatever. But
well, then I guess it does matter. Then, if you don't want to be playing Barty, you want to make sure that you avoid.
Well, yeah, but then
do that by being a seed.
I agree, but what's Raducanu right now? More or less 25, 13th. Okay, so
it's going to be world number one soon.
But yeah, I know. But the thing is, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're a woman who wants to win a Grand Slam right now. You're probably going to have to skittle 5 or 6 top-ish players, if you like. Barty got lucky, I think, with her run to the final. I mean, don't get me wrong, she deserved her win, but you could look at most women, and you saw how Goff went out early and went out first round. You know, Raducanu went out second round. That's just how it is right now with the women.
Fair enough. Let's move on. Number 14. On the women as well, we've got Stosa Retires and some sad news here.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Guys, I mean, you guys are obviously way too young to remember. Ben especially. I mean, Ben was basically when she made her breakthrough year in 2005, Ben was, just starting primary school. So
yeah, in nappies back then, mate.
Yeah, so I actually have a...
He was there watching her.
I mentioned this to JG because, we had 21 different things and you obviously want to bring some new things to the party, if you like, so to speak. And I remember seeing her play in 2005 against Martina Hingis. I think it was her breakthrough slam at the very least. So, I was there in Melbourne, actually. No, 2006. I apologize. I'm sure there'll be one or two people correcting me in the chat. Yeah, 2006 it was. And I went to see her, and this was her breakthrough slam. She got to the fourth round, I think, that year. Went on to win the US Open in 2011. She's had a great doubles career, by the way, and she's going to continue that. So I just think this with all the other things that went on, I think this deserves a mention. You know, a former slam winner retiring definitely deserves a mention.
100%. It definitely does deserve one. I mean, in more recent years, sort of some of the people in the chat, I know we do have some fans of tennis who haven't been necessarily watching for sort of the decades, like John. We could say centuries. He's definitely getting on, old John.
I spanned 2 centuries for sure.
But with Stosa, it's a good time to retire, isn't it? She's not exactly lighting up the tour. I can't see her winning any event, so it makes total sense. Brilliant career, and I think it's a good time to end it. Number 15, back to the men's. We've got Medi Meltdown, Small Cat, and the post-Rafa match. Of course, this is sort of talking about his story he told. And I feel like we've not really spoke about this in depth. I know John didn't really touch it very much on the Silk Report. I don't know if you had more time to reflect on it now, John.
Yeah, I mean, when the Silk Report went live would have been about 2 or 3 hours after the match finished, so probably less than an hour after his press conference, if you like. I listen, the Small Cat thing, super funny. Most of what probably occurred in that semi-final was kind of funny. The grimacing look of the umpire just wanting to sort of move on, and when he says time and he says what time, most of that was funny. What happened after and the look at me as well. Look at me when I'm talking. What happened after the final? Listen, I have a huge amount of sympathy for the guy. You know, hitting a double fault and getting people cheering, hitting a very easy sort of shot into the net a couple of times when he's like going, you know, I get all that, you know, and I get his disappointment with that. But he probably didn't do himself any favors a couple of times during the tournament, saying that these people have a small IQ. And I thought the couple of on-court interviews with Jim Courier afterwards, you know, I don't think he did himself any favors. And
in the ceremony as well, him sort of mouthing the boring
right,
things like this
exactly.
don't help.
So don't help.
And I condoned him quite a bit actually. Condemned him, sorry, saying I don't particularly like his attitude. I thought it sucked. It wasn't a good look. But since I have seen it from a different perspective as well, and I think it's important to share sort of my new light, something what's come to me recently. And this is with Medvedev. I've seen people sort of in the crowds chanting some really vulgar things towards him. I don't know if I think I shared it with you, Ben. I don't know if you've seen it, saying about go back to Russia and all of these comments. Why are you serving? And you've got to be honest. Obviously, he heard that because Rafa stopped his service motion. He stopped his serve, and Medvedev's just there. It is a bit much, I must admit. It does take it away from me. I know it's a massive Rafa victory, but I don't like to see that at all. I actually do really like Medvedev, and I don't like the way he has been treated. And I can understand why he does kind of have a bit of a chip on his shoulder at the moment, because ultimately he's not treated very nice. And you can't say, oh, well, they was being nice to him at the end. Well, they really, I guess they are, but it doesn't, what does it mean? If you've just booed someone for literally 5 hours on end, and every time he's trying to serve, first serve, second serve, you're making noise, and then to say, oh, you're such a champion at the end, does it really mean anything? Is it just empty words? Like, how would I feel in that situation? I don't think I would accept it very well. So I can understand his story, and to see that he's like, stopped dreaming, the kid would stop dreaming, it sucks, man, because I love him and I think he's awesome, and I want to see him play at Wimbledon. I want to see him play at Roland Garros. I want to see him.
He'll be there. He'll be there, JG. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we even saw in the match itself, I think Rafa was aware of what was going on, and Rafa even at certain points even told the crowd, like, just stop, because it was getting a bit too much at one point. And I thought that's admirable to Rafa, because a lot of people would normally just take everything they could to just try and win a Grand Slam, but he recognized the fact that it was just all in favor of him. I feel like, and I think he'd even just thought like, this is right, stop. Like I think he held his racket up at one point and said like,
Yeah, but I can understand
enough.
that all being all
Like,
favour. I can understand the
Yeah,
cheering, but I think when it crosses that line and it's starting to become offensive, that's where I have a big issue. And I think it did cross that line in the final. It crossed the line of just I'm cheering for Rafa because I like him, and then being offensive to Medvedev, and that is my issue with the whole thing. Let's look back to Rafa when he started first playing Roland Garros. He was booed all the time. When he had an injury there and he had to withdraw, I forget what event it was now.
Murray. Was it against Murray?
There was the final against Wawrinka as well, when even the Aussie crowd.
Yeah, I know that one.
Australian
there was
Open
one earlier. There was one earlier in his career, and he was sort of booed really, really heavily. I saw on YouTube. There was like a compilation earlier I was watching, and he's been through this, so he understands it. You never see him retaliate with his words. I can understand that to a level. You come onto the tour, you've won one title. In essence, you're a nobody. You're making your name. You need to sort of grow the love of the fans. Rafa's done that, so he deserves that respect. However, Medvedev does deserve a little bit more than what he was given, because I think it was a bit offensive, and I was offended listening to some of the things I've seen back. I didn't catch it on the stream because obviously we're so wrapped up in the actual tennis. But some of the things I've seen from the crowd, like if I was there and there was someone next to me doing that, I would feel obliged to have to say something to him.
I think there's several layers to this, like there is with anything. But I think what I will just say at the end of this is he's a funny guy. He's smart. He speaks several languages. He's a charismatic guy. His tennis is even getting more and more exciting. I like Daniel Medvedev. And I tell you what,
I do too.
I hope he hangs around here for a long time, because he makes a lot of these events, whether it be, the Grand Slam final against Djokovic at the US Open, or whether it be this one. And trust me, he's not far away from getting a lot of support. We're just in a very strange juxtaposition. We're just in a strange moment.
I think the one thing that everybody needs to think about as well in this type of situation with Daniel Medvedev, and we speak about, a lot of people speak about the big three on court, but not many people compare the people to the big three off court. And I think this is one factor that no one factors into anything. Being mentally strong on court is one thing. Being mentally strong off court is a completely different thing. And this is one thing that all the big three have managed to deal with really, really well in their career. I mean, there's been controversial moments for many of them. Like all of them have had their controversies. Obviously, Djokovic's dealing with a big one at the moment. Federer's had his naysayers. Nadal's even had people in the early part of his career. I think that the way that they handle it is still testament to a big three mentality. And I think you can't expect everybody to live up to big three mentality on the court or off the court. He's going to be different. He's going to have wobbles, but this is part of the growth, I think, of a great tennis player. And he'll realize the errors.
One thing I would say, physically and ability-wise, this could be a big claim. I honestly think he's the closest to the big three we've seen.
Yeah.
Sure. Right now, yeah.
I think for the last few years, John, I'm just looking at it. I just don't see many people who hit the way he plays is just magical.
Andy Murray, if we talk about
Murray, is definitely the closest to all of them in consistency for sure.
Yeah. Wawrinka as well. I colours just backing up what I said. Someone you'd go back to Russia. Of course, no place for that. It's just disgusting, and I don't like it. But let's move on. So number 16, we've got Raducanu, blisters.
I'll let JG go.
JG off.
Here we go.
It's not.
I'm going to take his back seat and let that's it. Me and John will go down the pub and let you.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to be harsh. I'm not going to be harsh.
All right.
So she wasn't the only one. Rybakina, another one who had the same issue with blisters. Ultimately, she was unable to continue her match. Her coach and her team were advising her not to even partake in the match before it started. I think that's a complete shambles. I think I would sack them instantly after suggesting that. No, would you not agree, John? I think that's terrible. Why would your team say don't go and give it a go?
Let me just offer
what a weak mindset in 20.
Well, let me just offer a touch of context. I think that the comment she came out with was something along the lines of, I was told by some members of my team maybe it would be a bad idea to play. Yeah, I know what you mean, JG.
No, exactly. That's what I said, John. So she was advised not to even play.
I don't know. I just remember watching that going, because when I first saw it, I thought the same as you, JG. When I saw that sort of headline, if you like, I thought the same. Then I watched that. I was like, okay, she seemed to sort of have to convince one or two people.
Yeah, why are you suggesting that? I think it's a complete liability. I prefer to see Raducanu go out there, give it a go. If she struggles with it and she has to retire and she can't do it like she did, she didn't retire, but she, in essence, wasn't able to play her best tennis and was hitting slices. Then that's better than not at least give it a shot.
I agree.
Give
I know what you mean.
chance. So for anyone to suggest that, that's why I'm taking a strong take on it. I think they should be sacked. I think
I know what you mean.
You shouldn't have weak people in your corner. It's all about a team and having a strong team together. Clearly, not quite there. And I think she needs everyone she can get more than any other players because she's young. She just won a Grand Slam. She's very vulnerable to the media, very vulnerable to this podcast as well because we're always talking about her and criticising her here and there. Not obviously so much as other people. But all the eyes are on her. So she needs the strongest team possible more than anyone.
And I think the biggest thing, and that's almost certainly in the back of your mind, JG, is the fact we're talking about blisters here. We're not talking about a knee injury or an ankle or a wrist even or an elbow, which is obviously there's a big thing going on there where, you could be doing yourself. And blisters, we know, come and go throughout your career and is just one of those things. So I guess that's fundamental in your thinking, right?
Of course, you can look at that as well, but that's not what I'm talking about. That's a separate sort of topic altogether.
But if it was a knee injury, you would understand. Even now, if she played and she goes out, you understand with a knee injury how certain members of her team could say, "Listen, it's probably not a good idea you play."
Yeah,
whereas
of course.
blisters,
because it can put you back. It can put you back. You can have an injury, which a blister's not going to do that. Let's be honest. And they weren't in the stage where she was before the match where they'd sort of healed over a little bit, but they were just going to obviously be irritated as soon as she started playing. So on that situation, which she showed us and explained, then of course you need to play. In terms of Raducanu, I agree with a lot of people in the live chat saying let's not get on her back too much. She's young. I know Ben's always sort of saying this to me, and I agree. After the US Open, I come out and made a big statement. I said she's not going to win a single event for the next 3 years. I still stand by that. I don't think it's going to happen. I think when you've got
a 500 or 1,000, no,
nothing, absolutely nothing. No, nothing. I think it's going to be very difficult for her to be able to do
she drops down into the ITF just to go and grab one.
Listen, well, maybe just doing it to prove me wrong, but I'm more than pleased. Don't get me wrong. I want her to go and do some stuff. But I think
JG,
it's very
3
difficult.
years. That's a big call. We're how long were you? 5 months into that 3 year period?
5 months in, looking all right so far. But I don't want to look at it like that. Listen, I would like her to win something and just prove me wrong. I'm not just trying to be. I don't want to be the guy to say, "Oh, look at me, I was right then."
No.
But ultimately, I think that's going to happen. The reason being that there's so much sort of circus around her. It's very difficult for her to be fully focused on tennis. She got so many sponsorships, so many advertisements from all over the place. How can you physically, as a young person, concentrate on playing tennis when you've got all of this money sort of thrown in your face? And it's not just the money, it's the biggest companies. It's like for a young person, you look up to that. And don't get me wrong, I could be the same. If Nike were coming to me, Chanel, all of these big companies, which you think, wow, that's like the pinnacle, that's the top. These are top brands. You would be distracted from your tennis. And I think that is ultimately what is going to happen to her. And I think it's going to be very difficult for her to get back on track. The one thing that I do think she has is natural ability in abundance and a very good attitude. You see the way she talks for her age. She's extremely mature in all the press conferences. And I think that's going to go a long way. As long as she gets a good team behind her, dedicates some time to tennis fully and applies herself, she can definitely go back to the top any moment because her ability is second to none.
I think that currently it's still living off the hype. Everybody's still living off the hype of the US Open. It's still very fresh. It's only one. Well, we've had one Grand Slam since, so it's not even we've not even had a year. She's not even defended her title yet. Any of that type of stuff. I still think there's still endorsements coming out her rear end, and it's just where it's going to be for the first year after winning your first slam in your second attempt at a Grand Slam, and even. For me, getting to the second round of the Australian Open, I think it's amazing. Somebody who's, well, I think it's amazing. That's my personal opinion. I think that if she had thought that she was going to get to the second round of the Australian Open when she was 19 years old, she'd bitten your hand off, and that's a year ago. So I think that the sort of playing field she's in at the moment. She's having all these endorsements. Embrace it while you can, because it might not last forever. But you got to remember this. She is going to gradually get better, I think, and the hype will die down a bit, because at the moment it's still very, very fresh, and there's going to be other people that have the hype as well, that they'll take a bit of the shine off her. We got Roland Garros coming up. We got another Wimbledon, which obviously the light will shine back on her again. But she got to the 4th round in that one, and that's sort of been overshadowed by the US Open win.
Ben, am I right in thinking 3 slams so far? Is that right?
Yeah, so 3 slams, and she's
4th
got
round,
to
win, 2nd round.
Great. I think it's all fantastic. I don't think there's obviously we're spotting the blisters. In that performance for me, I know that JG saw it different, said it was like a little bit weak to go, because we saw Rafa's hand and his blister was pretty much, you can see the bone in his hand, and that's what he plays with. I don't think we can compare like a 19-year-old Raducanu to one of the best players of all time, and the pain that the pain threshold for Rafael Nadal, I feel.
Have you watched videos, any chance of sort of Djokovic, some of the real great athletes at say 14, 15, 16, 17? They're built differently, let's be honest. And I know what you're saying. I agree. We can't really compare to that. Are we ever going to see a Rafael Nadal after 14 winning that event? He did. He come out on camera saying, I need to go back to training. I need to keep working hard. I won here today, but I can't get complacent. It's just a different level. Can't,
but I don't think you can compare them. You can't compare the two, because did Djokovic, Nadal, or Federer win? Did they win a slam in their 2nd ever slam? Well, after they hadn't done a year on tour. No,
it's not about necessarily what you win at an age. It's about a mentality
it is
thing.
Because look, when you win at that age, you look at all the attention that comes with it. Did they have all the attention that came with it after like their 2nd slam they ever played, and they hadn't played a year on tour? No. That's the thing. Okay. When they won their 1st slam, they've been playing years on tour already. So it's just like it.
Would you say it's well within the possibility that Raducanu could become a seriously good sort of legend of the tennis game, and to do that, win over 10 Grand Slams or something? Do you think that's possible?
Hard to say right now. I've
not seen her play. Of course, it's hard to say, but from what I've seen from her, I don't think that's going to be possible at all.
If she played the same 2 weeks she did at the US Open, yes. If she doesn't, no. That's the thing. That's what I mean. Like,
I just want to give a shout out to David O'Halloran for joining the membership as well. Really appreciate
that. Love
David.
Yeah. Cheers, David.
Yeah.
But it's just like blisters. I don't know. I don't even know if we can compare the men's game blisters to the women's game blisters. So I don't even know
here we go.
how
Farah. Nadal won at 19.
There you go. That's what I mean. So
Raducanu was 17, was she last year? When she won?
18. But still, you got to put this into perspective. He's one of the greatest of all time to ever play the game ever in the sport. And I don't think we can start comparing other people to the greatest of all time.
I'm not saying that, but I don't even think Raducanu is going to be able to amount to say someone to win a few more Grand Slams.
Monica Seles, I don't know how many she won. She may have won 10 plus. That's the kind of where we're talking about, isn't it? I think
it could be that all of the fame.
What do you think, anyway, John?
Too much.
I think I'm probably owing a bit more towards Ben. I think let's see how it goes. I have no listen. Her first 3 slams, as I said, she's got to round 4, win 2nd round, and I actually find, talking about the 2nd round, which of course is the lowest. I actually thought her Australian Open was an uplifting affair, if you like. The fact that she won her 1st round, it was a really tricky 1st round. I think she had. I can't remember who she played, but I remember thinking. Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking that's a tricky 1st round. She overcame it. 2nd round, probably without the blisters, she wins it. Okay. Then she gets to the 3rd round and whatever, and maybe she goes out in round 3 or round 4, and you're going, wow, that's considering how the previous 5 months post US Open had gone. We all remember her going out in the 1st round. Was it in Indian Wells? I think it was. And the press conference. I liked the press conference afterwards where she was just like really annoyed, and I've got another English expression in my head, not too bad in terms of language, but she was just really annoyed and didn't want to be there, and I that's okay. I'm very happy with that. And I was worried about her going into the Australian Open, especially with getting COVID, and she seemed to suffer a bit more than some others did. I was worried about her going to the Aussie Open, going Sloane Stephens 1st round could be a straight sets defeat.
Well, this is what I mean.
Let me just reiterate my point, and I think Kay's done it very nicely for me. You compare Iga at 19 and you compare Emma now at 19. Both won a Grand Slam. I'm looking at them too. I see one in Iga. I see a champion spirit. I don't see that from Raducanu. That's my opinion. I agree. I know both of you won't necessarily agree with me, but that's what I see on this issue.
Isn't there a 12-month difference between the two in terms of age, or have I got it wrong?
Yeah,
Iga's 20 now, right?
She's going to be 21 in May, so she'll be a year and a half older than her. Yeah, but I think, well, I don't know. It's a slight. She's slightly older than her. I just think she's had obviously more time on tour as well. Like, this is what I mean. Before she won that French Open, she'd had more time on tour than Raducanu's had. Raducanu stepped into Wimbledon pretty much, and that was it, and got to the fourth round.
My main concern. Sorry, Ben, to interrupt, and JG as well. My main thing is it's not about all these other external things. Although I think that we need to take care with that, and the Chanel sponsorship and the Nike and all the rest of it, completely very important. The people close to her need to advise her correctly and clearly. But my main concern is, how is she going to be on clay? How is she going to deal with Wimbledon second year round? I'm more thinking about that than some of these other things. I'm just thinking about, is she any good on clay? We don't even know. She's played 3 Grand Slams. How many slams has Iga Swiatek played? And I love Iga, by the way. And if Raducanu and Iga can be neck and neck in the years to come, that'd be great. But I mean, Iga must have played 8 or 10 Grand Slams, and Raducanu's played 3.
The one thing that bugs me a little bit is because everyone's being so harsh on her, and everybody was so quick to be jumping on the bandwagon going, well, Leylah Fernandez is much better than her, and well, she lost in the final, but she should have beaten her. What's she done? Why's no one on her back? She went out in straight sets to Inglis in the first round. So it's like, at least she got through a round in the Australian Open and managed to make a small run and went out to a sort of injury. It wasn't like a full one. But
JG, I think this is for you.
That's what I mean.
I can't really comment on it. I know he's got a point with what he's saying.
I love Leylah, by the way. I love Leylah.
But there should be the same level of criticism, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
19-year-old as well. Just got to a slam final. Arguably could have potentially won her first slam, but there's no one talking about her. Why?
Well, they probably are in other parts of the world.
I'm sure they are, Ben, but I think the problem is with the whole Raducanu thing is everyone's forcing it down your neck about how she's just very much always she's like the first person you see when you talk about tennis. If you talk about
this is what I mean, but there's a lot of people saying that she's better than Raducanu.
Not many people.
Didn't beat
it's only
her
because you're in the tennis circle. I'm talking about in general. Raducanu is a bit bigger news than, say, Leylah Fernandez. That's why we're talking about that and not Fernandez.
I know, but then people are saying that she was actually better player than her. She lost the final to her, and she hasn't gone as far in the next Grand Slam as her. So I don't know. It doesn't really stack up, really.
No, I think you've got a point. Let's move on. Number 17, sticking with the Canadian theme. Maybe Ben knew. That's why he's bringing up Leylah. We've got Felix match point against Medvedev. And obviously a great start to 2022. So a little back in behind this against Medvedev. So close to beating him. Had match point. There was a few other occasions he had break points as well. Looked like he was going to beat him. We covered it. Great match. And of course, the great start is the ATP Cup. He's right near the top of the race to, is it Turin again? Race to Turin.
Yeah.
He's up there.
He's flying right now. One of the best players on tour starting 2022. How far is he going to go? And what's your memories of that match against Medvedev?
Who's that going? John? Do you want to tackle first?
Yeah, I can go first. First of all, I watched the ATP Cup fairly closely until probably the semi-final stage, which, it sounds a bit strange. It's just that other things were going on after the semi-finals. But I mean, he did great. Him and Shapovalov actually did great during that ATP Cup with Canada. And then regarding his slam run, actually had a few hiccups early on. I think he lost a set 6-love. I forget who it was against, but he lost in a 5-set match early on in the tournament. He lost a set 6-love, and I was thinking, wow, that's a bit weird.
Yeah, Rusevoy.
Thank you very much, Ben. I'm glad someone on this pod knows something about tennis.
I'm glad you got your internet back, John.
Yeah,
no, it's great.
I'll lose the internet and I'll win the tennis. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, but then more focusing on the match point and Medvedev and his tournament as a whole. I mean, yeah, an excellent start to the year. But my question to you both, and I guess JG next up in terms of talking, is he gonna be top 5 by the end of the year?
No. No, he's not.
I mean, he's got to get to probably
you're
a
probably
slam
asking the wrong
final.
person, because I'm someone who's pretty critical of Felix at the best of times. He's actually one of my favourite players, believe it or not. Before we started the podcast, I was massively big onto him. I used to watch a lot of his matches, and I used to always be left disappointed. The reason being, he shows so much promise in early rounds, gets to sort of the business end, semi-final, final, sometimes quarter-final, and starts to lose against players where you think, if he played the same he did in the round prior, you'd have beaten them today.
He's not won a tournament yet, right? I think he keeps getting
Well,
to finals, and he's
in
lost 6
theory,
finals.
he won the ATP Cup. He also won a doubles event last year as well, but not really. No, he's not concretely won an
dancing
ATP
around it
title.
at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah,
He's doing
yeah.
everything
Well,
he can.
I won a match of cards the other day. I don't know if that counts as winning an ATP.
That's it.
Yeah, but I'm really pleased by his start.
Oh, he's a great player, but I mean,
critical. Technically brilliant player, good serve. He's got not really many weaknesses. I like his hands at the net as well, backhand, forehand. He's got the lot.
And the match
I think
point,
he probably deserved to beat Medvedev, I thought, as well.
He had no chance. I mean, Medi just went crazy, didn't he, with those three? I think it was 30-40 on Medi's serve, and then Medi just served three unbelievable
served his way out of it.
Yeah,
really did. Despite the crowd being against him again as well, should be noted.
So number 18 on the Canadian theme, we've got Chapeau Rage and match with Rafa.
Yeah, it should be noted as well. We're talking about Felix being number 5 in the race to Turin, Chapeau number 6 in the race to Turin. So those Canadians are grouping up, trying to get their way to the top of that race. But the Rage, and the match with Rafa, I thought he actually played pretty well. Maybe there was some psychological stuff going on there, because he was sort of complaining about the Rafa stuff, but he was making a big point of complaining about it. It wasn't just a simple, I'm just going to tell the umpire a changeover. He stopped the match at one point, came to the net. Rafa had to come to the net. They had a little exchange. Rafa's like, what's going on, man? Like, tap him on the shoulder, and he was like, you're taking too long. At the end, notable frustration. I don't know if I like the smashing of the racket at match point. I think it's not needed.
I think the ball girl liked it. She's got a nice souvenir.
I don't know. She wouldn't have liked it if a bit of plastic would have flown in her eye or something.
Come on, Ben, live a little.
Well, this is what. Remember when we had all the thing with Djokovic when he did that, smashed that thing against the net post, and then there was the guy came in the interview afterwards in the press, and said, "What are you doing? Like, what you could physically, if that smashes and flies off into like a ball kid's face or something, you could." It's like, but did it? It's like, did it start raining on the court?
Did it
or
snow on
did
the
it snow on the court? That was it.
I don't know.
All of these different analogies. And at this, I don't think it's necessary. He was annoyed. Like, I get it. But you could just chuck the racket. You don't have to actually physically smash the racket up on the court. You can just throw it to the side or something. I don't know. I think they like doing it to some of these players, though. They actually like the physical destruction of a thing in their hand.
Watch that match point, by the way, again, or even just the point, the second when Rafa wins the point, and Rafa actually does stop his celebration. Most of these match-winning celebrations are all about where you are on the court and what happens. We often see sort of Rafa lying down on the clay, but that's because basically, first of all, the ball's just gone out as he's about to chase after it. And in this match, Rafa is there, and I think it goes out, doesn't it, in the tram line. But actually, before Rafa even puts his hands up to his team like this, he does react to Chapeau smashing his racket. I watched it again. You can hear just in the camera, or when you watch it on YouTube, whatever. You can hear Chapeau, and he does sort of just turn and then goes back to his team. He does react to the smash of the racket. And also, there's another point, is that I saw another YouTube thing where it shows Rafa clapping each opponent off the stage, so to speak, the center of the court. Yeah. But he doesn't clap Chapeau as he walks off. He's the only one throughout the entire tournament, if you like, with the exception, of course, the final. But he's the only one he doesn't clap. I mean, and Rafa pretty much makes a habit of that, I think, of, you know, if you've won, it's a little easier to clap your opponent, no matter what happens. I mean, I also think that if we look at Medvedev's reactions, sorry, I know we're going back to a couple of slides ago, but if we look at Medvedev's reactions to other moments, and he apologizes and all the rest of it, and he reacts differently, he loses the final, so that continues into the press conference. Each other press conference, by the way, he goes in and he apologizes to the umpire. He sort of says to the media he shouldn't behave like that, and he can't quite go into that. And I think Chapo really, I think my biggest problem with Chapo regarding this match is, one, he doesn't win it, and he should have done.
Yeah,
and so, you know, raging and all the rest of it, and I also have an issue with the fact that he's complaining about Rafa on the time scale thing, but he takes just as long, and he also goes off at the end of set at the end of every set, you know, or it goes off the off court at the end of sets and stuff. So, and then also you can't say the umpire's corrupt. I think that's
terrible, that one.
I think Chapo is definitely a bit of a sore loser.
Medvedev is funny.
Massive fan of him.
Medvedev is funny. Medvedev is smart. Medvedev actually has had a bit of a raw deal from the crowd at times. Medvedev wins as well. And Medvedev is good. Well, you know, Chapo.
Good, but it's just...
Chapo's not too bad. He beats Zverev.
Yeah, he's pretty
He almost beat Rafa. He should have beaten Rafa. I agree with what you said, John. But Rafa, simply too good.
It's the second time as well. You got to remember, against Rafa, he's come very close to beating him.
Yeah,
one on clay,
and one. It's fine margins. That's all in the head. It's not ability wise.
Yeah, it's all in the head.
Should have a lot of confidence from getting so close. Number 19, we've got K&K. King Cock wins. Australian Open. Nick Kyrgios, Australian Open champion. Who'd have thought that we're saying that in 2022? He won with Kokinakis in the doubles. And someone who wasn't too pleased was Purcell. Have you seen the reaction with Purcell?
No.
I heard about it, but I didn't see it. So,
what did he say?
Oh, so none of you can talk about it.
I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. I think me and the other 7 million people that are tuning in right now, we all want to know.
Well, it's sad you say, because I can't remember the exact exchange, but I do know.
Well,
let me know in the live chat, guys. But Purcell...
is just, sorry, JG, to interrupt. This is one of the doubles opponents right in the final, just for the average casual observer.
Yeah, it's the one with the long hair, what sort of flows out of the cap.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out exactly what he said. I can't remember now. But anyway, it was along the lines of he was a bit bitter about the loss. Maybe Ben can find it.
Well,
and he was saying he doesn't like the whole, I think it's the pantomime surrounding Kyrgios and Kokinakis. He thinks it's a bit disrespectful. I know he commented on an Instagram post saying he found it very disrespectful the way they reacted. And Nick Kyrgios did reply in a very, very abrupt fashion.
What a surprise!
He said
very Nick Kyrgios fashion.
Yeah. He said then Kyrgios launched viciously back at Purcell, and he said, "As for Max Purcell, you donut. Regarding your comments after the match, you clearly have no idea about entertainment and sport." That's what he said. If you haven't noticed, there is a reason why people actually come to my matches. It's because the level and my game are actually worth watching. Next time you lose another slam final, you should put your head down and try to figure out how to play the big points better. No need to slate other Aussies in the media because people would rather watch paint dry than your serve and volley game style. Harsh from Nick Kyrgios there.
I like Nick Kyrgios, okay, and I like characters, and I like the way he plays. And you know what? If
I agree with
I went to see
Nick's right. Nick's right in a way, though.
Yeah, but there's a couple of comments in there that. What was the one about? If you knew how to serve on big points and stuff. I don't know. Do you need to say that? You've just won. Come on. If I just won, I would just let it slide. Never mind releasing a whole, 2 paragraphs of stuff. I like Nick Kyrgios. I went to see him at Wimbledon on court, 17, doing a mixed doubles in the third round or second round of Wimbledon 3 years ago, when JG started watching tennis. I think it was in 2019.
It was 2020, John.
Yeah. No, but seriously, but I don't think Kyrgios needs to. Kyrgios is just one, and I watched that match with you guys on the commentary.
On the watch.
Yeah, exactly, and I felt a bit sorry for the opposition, and there was a couple of times Purcell sort of, you could see in his face he wasn't particularly amused by how the things went. But I don't know, Kyrgios has just won the doubles, and it's a bit like, Rafa with Medi and stuff. Rafa doesn't go into the press conference going, well, Medvedev should just suck it up. He lost.
But let's be honest, this is Nick Kyrgios we're talking about.
I know, but
I think he is going to become a bit intolerable now that he has won one. Because if anyone ever says anything to him, he's gonna be like, "Whoa, I want a Grand Slam, bro." That's all he's
Yeah.
gonna say to everyone.
But I like Kyrgios, and Kyrgios is one off the cuff or whatever, one off the cloth, and I like most of it. But I don't know. He's won this doubles, and you just don't need to respond to that.
Yeah, your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, well, I just was looking at what Purcell said. He said he thinks it was great for ticket sales, but I'm not sure how it was taken overseas. If you're watching some of the Nick and Thanasi matches earlier in the week and you're overseas, you may get turned off tennis a little bit. That's what he said. So just saying it's not really about the tennis when they're on court. It's more about the antics. And I think, well, the one thing that I liked about them is when it's doubles, I want to see players having a good time. I think that's actually good. It makes me more interested in the doubles. I don't like it when maybe that's me being a little bit too naive and just thinking that doubles is not as great as singles, or not as like I don't know, as serious a sport. It is for a lot of people. They're strict doubles players, as we know. We've got some in Britain that are some of the best in the world. But I still like, when I used to play doubles, it was always fun. That was the one key thing. It was like, I've done my singles matches in the team. Now we get to do the doubles at the end, and we can actually have fun with your mate playing against the other team. It was competitive, but ultimately fun and competitive.
Yeah, let's move on. Number 20, we've got Danielle Collins. Over to you, John.
Your favorite, the Danimal.
Yeah, and I loved her run to the final. I mean, I say the run to the final. I mean, it really sort of ignited after beating Towson. But I was obviously I think I pretty much watched every match of hers all the way to the final after the Towson victory. Hi, Michael. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Michael, nice to see you in the chat earlier with the Rafael Nadal at landing back in Mallorca. I had a quick hello to him in that
got
chat
Liam in as well. How are we doing, Liam? Saying Kyrgios won a Grand Slam before Zverev.
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much.
I also saw Zverev say today how he had a really bad Australian Open, and that was good of him to admit. Danielle Collins, anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's just such aggressive, phenomenal tennis all the way to the final on no matter what the point was, whether it was the first point or the last. The only thing is with Danielle Collins is that we're all going to remember the 5-1 lead that she had in the second set against Ash Barty.
We really are. That was such a shame. And it really, if you look back on her actual full tournament, she won all but 2 of the matches in straight sets. And the one which was the real turning point for her was probably the Clara Towson match. She was down a set and a break to Clara Towson, which I thought was incredible. Towson was
losing that. I was so shocked she won it.
And she came back. She broke her twice. And then she took the final set just with 1 break of serve in the final. Well, she had match points before, but she finally took it in the final game of that one, 7-5. But I think, does that not spell good things for if you're a Towson fan as well out there? Because this is somebody who, if you could have potentially beaten, you might have gone on the run as well. But yeah, that's all tennis maths. I think Danielle Collins, that was the turning point in the tournament for her. She beat Elise Mertens, a tough person. Then Cornet, who was on her best run ever in straight sets. And then Iga, I thought, whatever happened there? Iga got caught napping, I think, from the off, and was behind before she knew it. And Danielle Collins couldn't quite find that same form in the final, though, could she? The moment got to her.
I know you both keep alluding to the 5-1 she was down against Barty. I feel like I have different memories. That's not the one thing I really think about. For me, I just look at it as a massive positive. Someone who I've not been the biggest of fans of in the past. I thought she's always been a good player, but not a great player. I think this has been a big transition into her being, you know what? I'm a serious competitor. I can go deep in slams, and you never know, I could potentially win one. Cheers, Jamie, there for the super chat. Thanks for joining.
All based on your moves.
Yeah, just like the moves at the start of the video.
Nice moves at the start. All right. I didn't read that.
Forgotten about that.
But yeah, good timing, Jamie, because we're moving to number 21, and there's one man we've not spoke about nowhere near enough. Does anyone have any guesses who's going to be at number 21 for our moments of the Australian Open?
Agassi.
On trial before the tournament, that guy.
So you've got Djokovic, you've got Agassi. I'm going to go for it. It is, of course, Rafael Nadal. He wins numero 21, 21 Grand Slams for Rafa. just amazing. I predicted it before the event started. Makes me a genius. I knew it was going to happen. I never had any doubts. Not even 2 sets down.
I'm not even going to take it.
No.
Wait
There was
till
not one single doubt crossed my mind. It was always going to happen. I think he's the best player in the world, the greatest player to ever play the game. Of course,
I think
if you don't know me, I am joking.
JG, at 2 sets to love and 2-3 and love 40. I think I saw you with a cigar like this going, nah, this is going to be fine.
Yeah, I can't wait. There's going to be a sound bite floating around till the end of time, I feel, of JG's outburst on the stream, telling me to go put a bet on Rafael Nadal. Go on, if you're so sure on the comeback, put a bet on it. He's lost. He's lost.
I was deliberately teasing both of you, but you in particular. I was teasing you more, Ben, than JG.
I know, because I've never been so insulted in my whole life. Honestly, I've been up for about 6 hours.
I think that
Been
didn't
up for
help
2
you,
weeks.
did it? It didn't help.
3 weeks if you include the trial.
Still,
4 weeks.
Someone
January is just a
telling me
write-off.
I'm delusional. Rafael Nadal can come back from 2 sets to love down. I'm delusional.
I said, grow up, Ben. You're
Grow
delusional.
up. Grow up. What are you doing? You're delusional. Go on. It's not happening. He's lost. I'm like, have you never watched tennis before?
That's exactly what you said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
listen, what can I say? You was right, Ben. One thing neither of you
to
were
clip
right
that
about
as well.
was picking Rafael Nadal to win. I believe John went with Zverev, just for the record. Ben had Medvedev winning the event. So John, right at the bottom of the pile, Zverev had That's why you're
that's going on the next
John.
Silk report.
That's why I'm bottom of the screen. I got
You're
it.
bottom of the screen,
yeah.
bottom of the pile. However, I did pick Rafael Nadal to win 21. Whatever way you want to dress it up, whatever way you want to mock me, I had a feeling it could happen.
Top then.
Yeah, stick me right at the top because Rafa did it, and we've spoke about this to the death. And I don't think I'm ever going to stop talking about it. I ordered my T-shirt today, Rafa 21 on the Nike store. That'll be here soon. I'll be wearing that every day of Roland Garros. Can't wait. I think he is a role model in every walk of life. I wake up every morning, I think of Rafael Nadal, and it gets me through my working day. It doesn't have to be tennis related. Just doing the Excel. I think of Rafa. It helps me. And he is just everything, which is he's just everything to me because he's just such a special tennis player. I love his persona. I love his spirit on the court. I love his never die attitude. I love the fact that when he's playing cards behind the scenes in the locker room, he tries to win every single card game. And he has an intensity where he's the type of person, if it's your turn and you're next to play cards, he'll be giving you a nudge saying, it's your guy, what are you doing? He's focused. He's not making jokes.
No stop clocks. No stop clocks with the cards.
He's competitive.
Come on.
He's competitive. And you can never really ever write him out anything anymore. And I am such an idiot, really, to be even making some kind of statement on that stream to suggest that Rafa is completely out of the match because he's never out of anything. And I'm never, ever going to write him off again. I've learned my lesson and it's a big learning curve for me.
I hope so. I really hope so because he's proved it time and time again that he can come back in many, many things in his career. I think the biggest thing coming into this whole tournament, that was the main thing for me, that sort of it. I don't want to say sealed it at 2 sets all when he'd come back, but I had like flashbacks when you played the intro. It was like flashbacks of Rafa on crutches, Rafa really struggling. Will he play the Australian? We don't know if he's going to play the Australian Open. I think we're about 70% he might not. Like this type of talks were all going through my mind at 2 sets all. I'm like, how is he doing this right
His
now?
Worst Grand Slam, struggling in the fourth set, or was it 5th set against fourth and 5th set against Shapovalov?
Exactly.
He's shown since COVID. We're not sure about his physical attributes in terms of duration, in terms of getting through a set to the deep stages of a 5-set or a 4-set match. We wasn't sure. He was on crutches. He was unsure if he was going to retire from tennis. He come back and served everyone and won at his worst Grand Slam. Let's be honest. It's his worst Grand Slam, but by some distance, in my opinion. He's nowhere near as competitive as he is at the others. And he won it then. He won the whole thing. And you can't say another thing I want to address why I want to run. Everyone's saying, oh, it's asterisks. Djokovic wasn't there. He played the best player in the world in Daniel Medvedev, in my opinion. I know some people say Djokovic as well. Of course, that would have been another massive feat if he's able to beat Djokovic in Australia. But he beat Medvedev. And I'm telling you what, in that final, Medvedev didn't bottle the occasion. He didn't not turn up. He wasn't overawed by the crowd going against him. He played a really good level of stuff at times, and Nadal had to overcome that.
Yeah, he really did. I think that the fact that he knew he was going for 21 in that final, I don't know if it mattered who was there. That was the sort of feeling I got when he was playing that final. When he got 1-2 sets in a row, it seemed like it was like the Spanish ball, and there was only one thing happening in the 5th set. And I just thought, it's happening. It's actually happening now. You've seen his level of fight. You see Medvedev getting massaged between every single changeover. Rafa looks better than he did over the last matches. I don't understand. He was struggling. He had heat stroke. He lost 4 kilos in the match after that. I don't understand. He looked fitter in the final than he did 2 rounds before. It's
Ben,
bizarre.
did you think that? So that sort of momentum, if you like, if he's going for 21, he's going to get 21.
Yeah.
And all that. And I understand all that as a neutral observer, if you like, although I know you were getting carried away which is the right thing, with all the emotion that was going on. Did you think that, though, when he lost his serve at 5-4 to make it 5-all, did you think, he's blown it?
No.
Or did you still think he'd win?
No, I thought he might break back. That's because Rafael Nadal we're talking about. He's probably one of the best people on tour. If he has his serve broken, he's more than likely going to break you straight back again. I think.
So when he was broken back then, what was going through your mind then? Are you thinking, I still put Rafa's favour, yeah?
Yeah, I was thinking he's probably going to go for him in this next game, and Medvedev's going to feel nervous.
I was hoping.
Whereas I didn't. I didn't. You know what? After he got broken back serving for the match, I didn't then think Rafa's going to be all right here. He's going to find a way. I was then still a bit doubtful. And when I say doubtful, I mean it was a 50-50 from that position. I thought it was anyone's match. I thought Medvedev could have easily held serve.
I don't think that's
go tie break.
I don't think that's fair.
If Medvedev, sorry, both of you, just for a second, but if Medvedev holds serve to make it 6-5, then I'm very worried. I'm worried because then Rafa needs to hold again just to force it to a super tiebreaker. I'm also worried about everything else that's gone on during the match, come back, but then you've had it snatched away from you. But I do think that the first point in that 11th game of the 5th set, as it turns out, at 5 hours and 15 minutes at this point, I saw JG's reaction, which was, yes, just delight, because actually those 2 games followed each other quite quickly. There was no sit down between 5-4, 5-5, and then the 11th. Yeah. And so then you go straight into it. In fact, and because Medvedev doesn't hang around anyway, first serve, second serve, give me the ball and off he goes. Between that game ending to make it 5-all, so it's like, oh no, he's just missed the chance, having been 30 love up to win the championship and to win his 21st Grand Slam and his second Australian. To then being 15 love up was pretty fast. It all happened quite quickly. And in fact, the exultation from both Rafa, from JG and myself as fans of Rafa, and even Ben as a neutral observer. And then it's like, well, hang on a second. He's lost his serve. He's lost the, a potential opportunity to win this. But you know what? He could break again. And a couple of minutes later, he had done. And
he wasn't given much time.
Well, the one thing I just want to pull you up on one thing, just because you're saying that going into that, it was 50-50. Like, obviously, when they're back on serve again. I don't think it is 50-50 when you're in the 5th set of a Grand Slam final and you're up against one of the greatest players of all time. It's not 50-50. I think if it was Djokovic there as well, it's still not 50-50. These players find a way to win in the big moments.
I understand what you're saying.
So I reckon it's at least
Daniel Medvedev.
But I don't think he's at that level yet. He's not. He just lost 2 sets on the bounce.
He's serious, Daniel.
And I think this one
at that moment of 5-all, I'm telling you my opinion. I understand what you're saying. It makes sense, because either the great. But I was honestly looking at it as this is a toss-up from this position. I cannot call it. After he was broken, serve for the match, and this is not being negative to Rafa at all. And I was a little bit at 2 sets down. I generally thought this is anyone's match. Medvedev could win from this position. Rafa could win. I just hope he could. All I was doing was just taking it point by point, thinking, I hope Rafa gets the next one. I hope he gets the next one. I hope he gets the next one.
And Ben, doesn't it make a slight difference as well? If it was going with serve 5-all, I get that. I get that. And you're going, you know what? I'm still going with Rafa here because of X, Y, and Z, all the explain. But actually, having had the chance to win it, and also having lost it, he was a breakup in 2012. He was a breakup in 2017.
2017. We've got Sam
And-
saying it. Who else thought deja vu from then?
Right.
That did
Well,
cross my
Rafa
mind
did.
so many
Rafa thought
times.
deja vu. He said so afterwards. He said,
Yeah.
you know, he said the F word, didn't he, in his interview afterwards to Eurosport, where he said, "Oh no, it's like 2012 and like 2017." Except this time he was
so
serving
cross,
for the
man. I
championship.
was so cross when it went 5-0. I was thinking the exact same things in my mind. I don't think I repeated it on the stream, but I went a bit quiet and I was just taking each point as it comes, thinking that anyone can win this from this position. Please, Nadal, get the next point. And then before I knew it, he had break points, and it all did happen so quickly. But it is just very, very emotional. Let's be honest.
Yeah, well, in my personal opinion, I just thought of who he's playing. I thought that this is going to be as tougher for Medvedev mentally than it will be for Nadal. And this, I think the fact he got broken, I thought he can still break him straight back again. I don't know. There's just part of that Rafael Nadal mentality I've seen throughout his whole career. You get broken, they're not holding their serve next. Like, you're going to put it on them. And he did it. He literally put it on Medvedev in that final service game. And then held to love in the last game to love to finish.
Those two service games, sorry to serve out the championship, if you like. I have to say, I did feel calmer on the second one. As a fan, I have no idea about Rafa, but presumably he felt calmer too in the way that those games went. How did you feel, JG? Because when he was serving it out at 5-4, I was panicking. At 30 love, I was panicking. in the one he finally did it at 6-5, I had a weird, blurry calmness.
Yep.
Maybe because they say that it was all going really fast.
No, it wasn't for me. It was when he broke. I feel so much better now. I don't think he's going to bottle this one.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. So going into that last
I just felt he's broke. He's not going to do it twice. I think he's going to be all right. I feel a lot more confident he's going to serve it out this time.
Yeah,
I can't understand that, but
me neither.
It just happened. That's just how I felt. So yeah, and I know we was talking earlier about shots of the whole tournament.
Right.
Maybe we can go around and just talk about maybe your particular shot of the tournament. I know you mentioned Igor was a special one on match point. I don't know if Ben's got one, but there is one for me which sort of I can't get out of my mind. Fifth set, Rafael Nadal in the final, 2-2. Advantage to get the break. He hits that mega forehand, sort of down the line where he's standing, clipping the line. Medvedev rooted there.
Yes.
And it was just, I don't think I've really celebrated enough on the stream, but since watching it back, it's one of the greatest, most important points of Rafael Nadal's career. The significance of breaking and pulling off such a massive forehand like that, where Medvedev's just rooted, like, what can I do with that? And the craziest thing is I didn't really anticipate him doing that shot. It sort of took me by surprise as well. And obviously we watch so much tennis. We just did like 2 weeks of Australian Open. And a lot of the times when we're watching, we don't say this, but we're always like, well, I am anyway. I kind of know what they're going to be doing in the next shot, because you start to watch it and you get the passage of play, and it can be a bit, he's going to go to the backhand here. He's going to maybe go a bit shorter, because you can see the way the game's going. I did not anticipate that shot, and that's what makes it so much more special. 2-2 in the fifth, the break point for Rafa, incredible.
It was incredible. Maybe Ben's got 1 or 2 points from other players to mention, but I've got a couple of other Rafa points in that match. The only thing I will say about both of these points is that they kind of didn't mean anything in the end. One, which I saw Ben react to on the live show, the watch along, was in the third game of the match, when Rafa's struggling to hold on to serve, and Ben is just like, what the hell has happened here? When basically it's Djokovic's point, and somehow Rafa gets his racket on it, and somehow sort of bends it away from Djokovic. From Medvedev.
He turned up for a bit.
I let you say the first time, but the second time I'm thinking,
did I say Djokovic twice? I know.
I heard it the first time. I'm thinking, is he talking about another event?
Back to the trial again.
Do you remember that point though? Like, I think third or fourth game, Rafa's serving, struggling at some, and he's like love 30 down, and he's way out at this point. It's going to be love 40, and you're going, oh no, what's going on here? And Rafa's getting bullied, but somehow he gets his racket on a ball and bends it around Medvedev at the net. It's like third or fourth game.
Yeah, I like that as well. That's
incredible.
A really good one.
And there was also that
Manarino, the volley in the time.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, there was also the 40-point rally in the in this match, which also occurred in the second set, so it didn't really matter. But the 40-point rally is finished by a Rafa backhand that it's not even hit with such venom. It's just sort of curves around the net that Medvedev just can't get anywhere near it because it sort of just floats over and bounces so low. Anyway, I think we've had a bit of a Rafa love.
Yeah, I feel like we've done enough. We've even done some for Ben there.
Yeah, I was going to say probably another one. If we're not going to just talk about Rafa, there were some amazing. Obviously, everyone forgets about the semi-final between Tsitsipas and Medvedev. That was obviously a really amazing match that sort of went under the radar. The tournament was incredible, and they had some incredible rallies as well. There was just like back and forth. Like I think some of them were like 20 to 30 shot rallies, but I think there was one where Tsitsipas, I think he played some incredible tennis that needs to be remembered this tournament. And I think he was bringing Daniel Medvedev in and then still lobbing him and doing all those sort of things. I think that'll stick in my mind. Tsitsipas, his amazing serve in this whole tournament, and really, really showing he can really mix it with Daniel Medvedev on hard courts now.
Nice. I think we'll wrap it up there anyway.
He has to go into the clay court swing as the man along with Rafa, really.
Well, let's see how Dominic Thiem gets on as well. Hopefully that knuckle injury is not too bad. But let's wrap it up. Shout out to Jamie for the last super chat of the evening, saying when Nole and Nadal are both retired, and if Nadal finishes one slam ahead, I wonder deep down how much Novak will regret what happened here. He may regret it even more because there's rumours coming out today that he's going to be getting vaccinated for Roland Garros. So let's wait and see on that. Maybe no trial. Won't be needing you, John, for the next slam. But we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we always need John. Great addition to Game to Love. Thanks, everyone, for joining. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let us know your favourite moments in the comments section below. We'll try and reply to some of them. I enjoyed it. Bit of a rough start to the podcast, but we got there in the end. And all that's our 21 moments of the Australian Open.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
See you on the next one.
See you soon.
See you guys.